Hello, everyone, and welcome to Driven by Passion, the channel for people who truly love cars, motorsport, and especially Formula One. Here, you won't see race footage or flashy edits by choice. Instead, we focus on bold ideas, deep analysis, and the kind of conversations that images alone can't deliver. Because we believe it's thoughts, stories, and debates that really fuel passion and progress. If you're here, it's because you want more than highlights. You want context, strategy, emotion, and honest talk about this sport. That's exactly what Driven by Passion is all about. The only YouTube channel you can watch or simply listen to wherever you are, in your car or on your phone. This might be the most disputed and possibly controversial F1 title since 2021. Lando Norris is finally world champion. Max Verstappen loses the crown by just 2 points after a three-way finale in Abu Dhabi with Oscar Piastri. Lando Norris becomes the 11th British driver to claim the Formula One World Championship, and with that, we've reached the final recap of the season. For the last time this year, sit back, relax, and let's dive into the 2025 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Verstappen's almost impossible comeback. We believed in the comeback right until the end, but this time it wasn't enough. After 1,456 consecutive days, Max Verstappen is no longer the reigning world champion. The gap was simply too big. Yet by the final checkered flag of 2025, he had brought it back to just 2 points behind Lando Norris. 3 months ago in Zandvoort, Verstappen was 104 points behind championship leader Oscar Piastri. Arriving in Abu Dhabi, that deficit had shrunk to only 12 points to Norris. This weekend, he delivered almost everything you can ask from a driver. An exceptional pole, stunning laps, a dominant undisputed victory, and flawless race management. No mistakes, no hesitation. The only real question mark is on Red Bull's strategy. They used Yuki Tsunoda tactically, that's obvious. But with around 15 laps to go, one last gamble was still on the table. Pit Verstappen for fresh mediums, back the pack up, and drag Piastri, Norris, and Leclerc into chaos. Even in that scenario, though, if Leclerc had overtaken Norris, McLaren could simply have swapped positions later. Piastri would have ended up fourth, and Lando would still have been champion. When you see Max smiling and joking after the race, looking more like a driver who missed a bonus than someone who lost a war, you can feel there isn't that much regret inside Red Bull. He finishes the year with the most wins, the most poles, and 10 consecutive podiums. However you look at it, that's a massive season. Norris, Piastri, and the title that slipped. For the first time since 2010, the world champion is neither a Red Bull nor a Mercedes driver. It's official. Lando Norris is Formula One world champion. Some fans are disappointed, some are over the moon. But there's one thing that's clear. A world championship doesn't appear out of nowhere. It isn't luck. It's earned. Before focusing on Norris, we need to talk about Oscar Piastri. He finishes third in the championship in only his third season in Formula One. He's still very young. He led the standings for 15 Grand Prix, more than any other driver this year, and never fully recovered from that brutal sequence in Baku. That weekend broke the flow of his season. If he adds a bit more experience, confidence, emotional control, and stronger support around him, 2026 can absolutely be a title year for him. For Piastri, 2025 was always going to be a learning season at the very top. In the decisive phase, the title shifted towards Lando. With the points advantage and the car underneath him, there were very few realistic scenarios where Norris walked away from Abu Dhabi without the crown. A podium was all he needed, and he delivered exactly that. Charles Leclerc drove a superb race in fourth, applying consistent pressure but never truly putting Norris in a do-or-die situation. The only moment that genuinely looked dangerous for Lando came after his first pit stop, when he rejoined in the middle of the pack behind several midfield cars, including Yuki Tsunoda, and that leads us straight into the biggest controversy of the weekend. Tsunoda versus Norris. Who really deserved a penalty? The Tsunoda-Norris incident has already become the talking point of this finale. Tsunoda penalty or not? Norris penalty or not? Let's start with Tsunoda. From a sporting point of view, the penalty makes sense. On the main straight, he produced a move that isn't legal under the regulations. You can't weave and change direction like that in the braking zone at over 300 km/h with DRS involved. On top of that, it was clearly triggered by a team order. That makes it deliberate and unsporting, less a defense of position and more a calculated attempt to disrupt someone else's race. In that context, calling the move both dangerous and against the rules is hard to argue with. Norris's case is more nuanced. Yes, he completed the move off track. On paper, that usually means a penalty, but real racing isn't just about the rulebook, it's about context. When the car ahead is moving unpredictably and dangerously, and the car behind takes evasive action to avoid a huge accident, you can't treat both actions as equal. If you penalize Tsunoda, you recognize that his behavior created the dangerous situation. Norris's move is then a consequence of that, not an independent offense. Why didn't he just go to the right first? Is the easy question. The harder question is, what happens if he goes right and Tsunoda also goes right at the same moment? Then we're potentially talking about one of the worst crashes of the hybrid era. Protecting that kind of move with a strict literal interpretation of track limits would send a terrible message. That's why the FIA's decision matters far beyond Abu Dhabi. If you start penalizing drivers who avoid dangerous moves, you invite a new tactic into F1, break the rules to force your rival into a penalty. That's the road to manipulation and huge risk, not fair racing. In this case, the combination of a penalty for Tsunoda and no penalty for Norris sets a line. You can defend hard, but you can't create chaos and expect your rival to be punished for trying to survive it. The closest title since 2008. When the dust settles, the numbers tell their own story. Norris is champion, Verstappen is second by just 2 points, and Piastri finishes 13 points behind. This is the tightest title fight we've seen since 2008, and that legendary final corner at Interlagos between Felipe Massa and Lewis Hamilton. And there's one moment that looks more and more decisive with hindsight. McLaren's team order in Monza, when they swapped Piastri and Norris. At the time, it was criticized as papaya rules. Today, it looks like a championship-defining call. Without that swap, Verstappen could very realistically have ended this season with another title. Of course, we can play this game for everyone. Verstappen left points on the table. Norris dropped points at Zandvoort. Piastri bled points in Baku and after. That's the nature of a 24-race calendar. But when a title is decided by 2 points, every decision in the season takes on a new weight. Here on Driven by Passion, there is real respect for what Lando Norris has done. His second part of season was exactly what you expect from a world champion. Fast, composed, strong against his teammate, and reliable when it mattered most. Yes, he had a top car. So did every champion in history. The difference is what you do with it when there is nowhere to hide. The end of an era, the beginning of uncertainty. Abu Dhabi 2025 didn't just close a championship, it closed a chapter in F1 history. We say goodbye to DRS as we know it, to this V6 hybrid cycle, to ground effect cars, to a 10-team grid, to Sauber as a name, and to French engines in Formula One. Sauber leaves the grid after 22 years under that banner, surviving in different forms but never quite breaking through. From Sauber Petronas liveries to the BMW era to the recent Kick Sauber colors, it's a piece of F1's fabric. The team doesn't disappear completely. It transforms into Audi F1 team. The facilities, the staff, the know-how remain, now split between a German and a British base for 2026. At the same time, Renault steps back as a power unit supplier. Abu Dhabi was Renault's last F1 engine. From next season, Alpine will run Mercedes power, closing a story that stretches from the Turbo Revolution through the Prost years to the V8 glory days with Red Bull. For anyone who cares about the sport's history, it's hard not to feel a twist in the chest. Looking ahead to 2026, we're stepping into the unknown. New cars, new engines, active aero, the return of Perez and Bottas, the arrival of Cadillac and Audi, and a new rookie in Arvid Lindblad. The rulebook is being rewritten, the grid is evolving, and no one, teams included, can say with certainty who will get it right from day one. These 2022-2025 cars won't be missed by everyone. Heavy, wide, sometimes awkward on onboard shots. But change always brings a mix of excitement and anxiety. It's in human nature to resist it, and in motorsport's nature to live through it. What did you think of this 2025 season? Did this title fight live up to your expectations? Did the right driver become world champion? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell us whether Lando Norris is your worthy world champion. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Driven by Passion so you don't miss the next episodes. The only YouTube channel you can watch or simply listen to wherever you are, in your car or on your phone.